You might think you're perfect for your ex. You probably just know that you can make them happy and build the kind of life that they'd only dream of. But none of that matters if you can't get them to give you another chance. So in this video, we'll discuss how you can break down your ex's barriers and make them want to be with you again. Because really, if you can just make them consider the thought of getting back together, then you're well on the path to a second chance. Here's one of the biggest things that I've learned in my 15 years as a breakup coach. A lot of people want to get back together with their ex. It's only natural. I mean, you probably do, right? Odds are your ex does too, at least on some level. Now, this isn't a guarantee. You shouldn't run into your ex's arms and say, "I heard you wanted me back. Brad told me." Please don't do that. I'm just saying that breakups are very difficult and very painful. And at some point, this person thought that you were the one for them. So they likely fear starting over with somebody new and really hate the idea of never seeing you again and losing the life that you built together. Not to mention the potential of what could have been if things hadn't ended the way they did. And all of this adds up to the fact that many exes will be willing to give things another shot if you're able to follow my advice and handle things the right way. In fact, studies have shown that 50% of couples have broken up and gotten back together at least once. Now, it might be hard to believe, but think about it. Why would people advertise that they've broken up and gotten back together? It's embarrassing to admit. So really all I'm saying is that there is hope, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. So let's figure out the situation here, because the approach you need to take will change a little bit depending on a few variables. First off, how long has it been since the breakup? If it's been 2 days, then really it's no wonder that your ex refuses to talk to you about this. They're still recovering from everything that happened. You're definitely on their mind, but they can't handle thinking about trying again. They're just, trying to make it through the week and survive the heartache. And really the same thing goes if it's been several years since the two of you broke up. This is the opposite scenario. They've processed everything, moved on, and consider you a part of their past now. So while there is possibly still hope, you can't just call them up out of the blue and ask them to take you back. You're not even really on their radar. So then, what is the sweet spot here? Well, I think if it's been more than a few weeks and less than 6 months, then you're gonna have the best chance of winning your ex back. Not to say that it's impossible otherwise, but things will be a bit different. So if it's been just a few days, then you're gonna need to do something very important and very difficult right now, and that is that you need to wait. You have to allow time to pass so that things can settle down a little before you reach out to your ex. Now, I'll explain more about why this is so important later on in the video, but for now, just chill. I promise you your ex isn't going anywhere. And if it's been longer than 6 months, well, now is the time to stop thinking about it and act. The longer you wait, the more you risk them moving on. Even if they don't find somebody new, they'll get over you eventually and have really no desire to reconnect. So if it's been a long time since your breakup, it is time to act now. If you're not sure whether you've still got any chance with your ex, please take my free 5-minute quiz after the video at breakupbrad.com/quiz. It's a great place to start because you'll find out what your odds are, and you'll also get some personalized recommendations on what to do next to maximize your chances. I'll put the link in the description below, or just go to breakupbrad.com/quiz and try it out for free. Now, what do you have to do to make your ex give you a chance? Well, right now your ex is closed off. They're not really considering you as an option at all. It's the furthest thing from their mind. They're focused on moving on. Maybe finding somebody new, maybe just being alone for a while. Right now they see you as their ex. Chances are they still care about you, love you, and miss you, but to them, you represent the past, not the future. So really, you need to change how they look at you. I'm sure you know this already, and you might have taken steps to make this happen, but most often when people are in this situation, their approach is all wrong. They take a very direct approach. They call up their ex, explain their feelings, and tell why their ex should take them back. And when that doesn't work, they beg and plead, and they get angry and basically melt down. So why does this never work? Well, the simple fact is you can't change your ex's mind with facts and logic, even if everything you say is completely accurate. You can make the perfect case and your ex will still say no. And that's because decisions around dating and relationships aren't made with the logical part of our brain. Sure, we want someone who checks a certain number of boxes if we're going to spend our lives with them, but feelings and emotions come first every time. And that's why words always fall short in this situation. Now, of course, you are going to have conversations with your ex later on in this process, but early on, it's all about your actions. It's about what you do and don't do. But to start, you need to get some basics down. So number one, understand your contribution to the breakup. So, to change your ex's feelings, we need to look at why you broke up in the first place. Did you cheat, lie to them, mistreat them in some way? Were you not sensitive to their needs? Maybe you smothered them. These are all very common issues that will lead to a breakup, and they need to be addressed if you want your ex to give you a second chance. I'm sure you've apologized and made promises again and again, and clearly that wasn't enough. So again, let's look at actions here. You need to change your behavior first and foremost. Now, I'm sure you're going to tell me that there are other factors here, that your ex made mistakes too, that you were just responding to what they did. And I'm sure you're right about that. But that's the thing, right? You have no control over their actions. You can only change your own behavior. But the good news is that by changing yourself, your reactions and your actions, you change how your ex will react and you stop this negative cycle. So before anything else, you need to look at what you're doing right now. How are you treating your ex? Are you repeating any of the mistakes that you made during the relationship? Maybe continuing to smother them, treating them poorly? Are you still crossing their boundaries? Maybe not listening? Really, all you're doing is confirming their negative feelings towards you. So if you want them to change their mind, then you need to stop all of that right now. I mean, I know this breakup is taking a toll on your emotions and you just want to hold them close to stop them from slipping away, but this is not the way to get that second chance. You actually need to do the opposite, which is why number 2 is give them space. As I've been saying, you can't push your ex to get back together. You can't bug them, cajole them, or otherwise pester them into giving you another chance. So what you really need to do is give them space. I know it might feel like you're losing them if you leave them alone, but the truth is the opposite. Because when you give your ex space, you make them miss you in a way that words never could. It's really not until you withdraw from them that they start to feel your absence and realize all the good things you brought to their life. Because after a breakup, if you hang around, you no longer bring them happiness in the way that you did when you were together. You actually become a source of stress and confusion, and then they start to associate you with those feelings. So really, what you need to do is simple. Go no contact with your ex. Stop reaching out, stop calling, showing up, messaging them, asking them questions. Really, total radio silence, at least as much as practically possible, without being downright rude or neglecting responsibilities. Obviously, this feels like a scary step to take, and it will be, but it's going to be even scarier for your ex. It's going to be a shock to their system, and it will change how they think about the breakup and about you. You're essentially creating scarcity. They no longer have access to you, and that makes them want you more. And now that they're missing you, thinking about you, and chasing you rather than the other way around. And when they see this dynamic shifting, they're going to start to reevaluate their feelings towards you. And that brings us to number 3, which is to remove any obstacles. Now, while romantic love is rooted in emotions first and foremost, sometimes real life gets in the way. So this could have been what led to your breakup, or it could be something that's cropped up in the time since. And really, there's too many examples of this to list them all. Maybe your families don't get along, maybe you have different beliefs, or you live too far apart. Maybe you have a job that takes up a lot of your time, or you struggle to communicate for some reason. But whatever it is, you need to identify it and then take steps to remove it from the equation. Obviously, this stuff is never an easy fix, but all you really need to do here is to start making progress. So for example, if you and your ex would always fight about that rusted out car on your lawn, when they see that it's gone, that's going to shift their perception of you and of the situation. But these are the kinds of moves that you want to make in private. So you don't want to call up your ex and say, I quit my job and I found a new one that gives me more time off. Because doing that is just going to put a lot of pressure on your ex to know that you're doing things like this for their benefit. And it's probably going to scare them off. So save that kind of information for when you actually begin reconnecting with your ex and catching up again. You want to catch them off guard and sort of upend their expectations. All right, and number 4, take down their walls. So if you are struggling to get a second chance with your ex, it's probably because they've put up walls against you. They actively decided not to give you another chance, and they're taking all the steps they need to prevent that from happening. So there's quite a few different approaches your ex will take here. One is that they'll refuse to be more than friends. They're putting you in that friend box to send you the message, you and I are not in a relationship anymore. And this can be really frustrating because you'll be able to spend time with your ex and have a good time, but any move you make to take things beyond friendship is going to get shut down. Now, I've actually made a whole video about why you should never be friends with your ex that I'll link to in the pop-up here and in the description below if you want to understand how that works. And another tactic they may use is just to freeze you out. So they'll give you, one-word responses. They'll wait hours to respond to your text. In many cases, they might just stop responding altogether. Now, don't take this the wrong way. Usually, it doesn't mean that your ex is over you or hates you or anything like that. Typically, this is something that they're doing to send you the message that they want space. And they're also doing it to prevent themselves from backsliding and getting back into a relationship with you. And this, of course, makes it really hard to reach them. But again, you can't just brute force your way through this. They're sending you a signal, leave me alone. And you have to respect that. So give them the space that they're asking for and try again another time. But also, consider their reason for doing this. Every time you've reached out, has it been to talk about the relationship? Maybe you've been trying to pick fights, begged and pleaded? Then it's no wonder that they're putting up walls to keep you out. So you really need to change your approach. Speak to them more casually, have more relaxed conversations, make them laugh, and show them that you're not here to screw up their day with, intense emotions and big questions. If you've watched any of my other past videos, and I suggest you do right after this one's over, you'll know that I always recommend you focus on yourself and creating real, natural attraction with your ex. Get them to let go of negative thoughts and associations when they think of you, and instead focus on all the good things that you bring to their life. As I said at the beginning of the video, your ex probably already does want to take you back on some level, but you need to tap into their emotions rather than trying to convince them with words to give you a second chance. I've linked to several of my most popular recent videos in the description below, so go and watch those videos now to learn more concrete steps that you can actually implement today to begin rebuilding your ex's attraction for you and let go of logical, rational reasons that they had for the breakup. Now, I also know that I mentioned this earlier, but if you haven't already done so, please take 3 or 4 minutes to complete my free quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz. The quiz will evaluate your answers and it'll give you a score out of 100, breaking down your chances of ever getting them back. Now, if you score above 70 or so, then you have a decent shot. Below 55 or 60, it's probably time to move on. And that just about does it for this video. I hope you now have a better idea of what you need to do to make your ex give you a second chance. Remember, it happens every day, and it is possible in almost all situations, if you play your cards right and you don't waste any more time. So take my free quiz, watch the related videos I've linked in the description below, and then get started so you can get that second chance. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and so on. I always sincerely appreciate all your support. See you next time.